Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Zachariah Renfro, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my teaching philosophy and about my worldview in relation to online classes and learning together and what you can kind of expect in our time together. I'm an Air Force veteran, a University of the Cumberlands alumni, and you can see my resume here, and that's not really the important thing. What is important is that I took online classes at the Cumberlands, and I do understand the struggles and the challenges that come with being an online student. I understand that it can be a quite lonely experience and it can be a quite separating experience. So I try to, in all my classes and in all my work, to try and alleviate that as much as possible. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But, I just want you to know that I am here to help. We're in this together. And hopefully, what you get from this course will help you throughout the future of your career and throughout your time here at the University of the Cumberlands. We first have to talk about what makes a good education. Before we can even talk about like what I do, we have to talk about what makes a good education. And this is a modified version of Pierre Bourdieu's theory of capital as it relates to education. But the way I see it, there are four components of value to a college degree in the modern time, and I've got them listed in descending order from most important to least important. So the first thing is your connection with peers, right? That is the friendships you make with your classmates. That is your networking that you're able to do. That is your interrelationship with these other people who are within your demographic. Why is that the most important thing? Well, because studies have shown, and these have been tested over the last 100 years or so, that your success in the world largely depends on who your friend group is. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? In 5, 10, 15 years, some of your friends might be managers, they might be owners of companies, they might be doing other very important things. And they are going to be the connection that helps you either get a job where they are or can help set you up in the right way. A little example. My stepbrother, he works at a warehouse. This is not necessarily related to college, but in this modern age of AI, what we've seen is mass applications, um, application tracking systems, right? People using AIs to apply for jobs. And what that's doing is reestablishing a version of the good old boys club, right? And we're seeing it all the way up and down the job market. Well, what does that mean for us? That means that if you want to get a job somewhere, odds are you need to know someone who works there. And that takes me back to my stepbrother. He works in a warehouse, not a high prestige job, not, some kind of crazy job, but he would not have been able to get that job without him already knowing someone that's there. And in fact, over the last decade or so, just about every job he's gotten has come because he knew someone that worked there, whether it is at a store, whether it is a school janitor, whether it is warehouse work, whatever. He would not have gotten those jobs without having a man on the inside or knowing someone on the inside that could give him a positive recommendation. So, with that being said, while you're in school, while you're learning, you should make it your goal to become close friends with as many of your classmates as you can. If you graduate from your degree problem or from your degree program and you've not made a bunch of friends, then you've done it wrong and you've wasted your time. The next most important component of a good education is mentorship from your professor, from me or your other professors. These are people who oftentimes have been in positions that you want to be in, they've done jobs that you want to do, or they have experience related to what you want to do, especially if you want to go on for further schooling. They can give you that guidance that you need. And that helps stop you from making costly mistakes in your education. Um, we see from my previous slide, right? I've went to a bunch of programs, but some of them were unnecessary. And if I had had some good mentorship, I might have avoided all that extra work and time and been able to really focus on the things that would contribute value to me over time. That's not to say I regret any of my education, but that it's a lot of work. And sometimes, wouldn't it just be nice if, you could kind of get in a groove and not have to be burning the candle at both ends? The next most important thing, this is the third most important thing, is the content, the stuff that you learn in relation to your job, whether that's business, accounting, art, nursing, education, whatever it is. The content that you're learning is actually the third most important thing. Well, why is that? Well, in the modern job market, it doesn't really matter what you have specialized in. You're competing against people who are just as specialized as you. So the thing that's going to set you apart is your network, your connection with peers, right? And then the final thing that affects the value of your education is the brand name of your university. If you're applying to jobs nationwide, you need a nationwide brand. Harvard, University of Kentucky, University of Texas, right? If you're applying to jobs in a certain region, perhaps Kentucky, then you want a brand name that's related to the state of Kentucky, right? That people who live in the area where you live are going to recognize the name of the school. So, for example, if I lived in Chicago, it would be much better for me to either get a degree from a nationally recognized school or from a school within the state where people within Chicago are going to know where it is. Going back to my own resume, depending on where I'm at, my college education will be more or less recognizable, right? If I am living in Arizona, my accounting certificate from EKU, they're going to be like, huh, what's that? If I'm living in Kentucky, they're going to know exactly what EKU is, right? So those are the four components. And as you're going through your education, you want to make sure that you're doing your part to fill out those four components, but also that the school you attend is doing their part to fill out those four components. So if you are not seeing those things being fulfilled, then you need to speak to the people who can make those decisions and say, hey, we want the school to do more for this or that or the other. Which leads me to my teaching philosophy, right? I've talked about what are the four most important parts of an education. Well, how does that connect to me as a professor? So, for my classes, I try to have active participation and human connection. What does that mean? Well, at another college, which I teach at, that typically means live classroom meetings. Even for asynchronous classes, we'll meet once a week, as well as video discussion boards and video replies. It allows me and the students to get to know each other and have these kind of incidental conversations that allow real friendships and real networks to grow. You can't get that from a typed discussion board. The next thing we that I do is I use technology as best I can to help strengthen those networks, right? And then the final thing, uh, well, on the technology point, things like email, announcements, messaging, right? Like I use this incredible sci-fi tech that we have to really help grow these experiences. And then the final thing is rigorous experimentation and risk taking. So for my classes at another school, I am always testing out new things. Here at Cumberland's, I'm a bit more constrained. Some of the things that I do at other colleges, I am not allowed to do here, but I'll try my best to provide you as the students the best experience that I can, right? And with that being said, I do hope you enjoy taking class with me. I hope that you enjoy the material that we learn about. And I hope that the things that I talk about can come to benefit you over time. So thank you so much. You have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Thank you.